Good morning. My name is Baba Anthony, and I am an Awo with Okanranso de Temple here in Miami, Florida. Today's topic is guarding against envy to embrace your unique destiny. Let's take a moment to imagine ourselves at a fork in the road. On one side, you have envy. It's a dark path. It's a path that leads us to a place that clouds our judgment. It takes us away from working towards our success. Now, the other path is well illuminated. It's got light, it's got birds flying around, right? Imagine that for yourself. Envy is a very dark place to live in our lives. It's a place where we are focused on making comparisons, dissatisfaction with what we've accomplished. It can derail us from working towards our own personal journey. Envy allows us to compare ourselves against others. It leads us to a place where we feel inadequate and have resentment towards others and, our own personal well-being. Today's conversation is going to talk about a few things. One, as the topic says, guarding ourselves against envy. And then two, things that we can do to work towards living our destiny. Today, I'm going to share a story from the Odu of Ogbe Ofun. Let us get into that story. Ashe. How is your home? My home is well. It is future consequences we know nothing about. This was Ifa's message for Kannakanna. The same was also declared for Ogbe. When they were going on a long-distance journey, they were advised to offer a bow. Here we have a story of a young man named Ogbe. Ogbe was a very interesting person because he was extremely kind and extremely benevolent to everyone around him, right? He was the type of person that when anybody asked him for anything, he couldn't imagine saying no to them. He's like, there's no way, I need to help them even more than they're truly expecting. So one day, Ogbe's friend, Kannakanna, had come to him and said, there's a party that's happening at my in-laws' house, and I really don't have anything to wear. Is there anything that I may be able to borrow from you and, bring it back when I'm done? But I really want to look nice, and it's a party at my in-laws' house, so I really want to try to impress my wife's family. Ogbe, of course, said, yes, absolutely. But what was surprising about this is that Ogbe, instead of loaning him one of his own personal outfits, dresses to wear, he decides to go and purchase an outfit for Kannakanna and gave him the outfit to wear. And Kannakanna wore the outfit. He felt amazing. He couldn't believe how great a condition. He didn't even know that Ogbe had purchased it for him. He found himself in a place of just showing deep gratitude for Ogbe. And then after the party had come and gone, and Ogbe treated him no differently. He never even asked for the outfit back. He was just like, here, this is for you. You can keep it. Kannakanna was taken back by the generosity of Ogbe. He was in a place where he couldn't believe that someone would be so kind, a friend would be so giving, right? It's almost as if we were to our modern times, we came to the point where we're just like, hey, here's exactly what you need. I want nothing back from you. I just want to make sure you have what you need. So Kannakanna found himself in a place where he was so thankful and had so much gratitude towards Ogbe that he vowed to himself in secret that whenever Ogbe was in trouble, whenever he had any challenges, he was going to come to the rescue and support Ogbe however he could, right? Now, talking about the generosity of Ofe. Here's what's interesting. Ofe had decided, this is my life, my destiny. I'm going to live my life being kind and being generous to others and have no expectation of anything coming back. The issue was that his generosity was so great, it was annoying the people that were around him. It was annoying his neighbors. It was annoying other friends of Ofe's. They couldn't believe it. They saw this as a time for him to lift himself up above others. Instead of seeing Ofe for the kindness that he was doing, they thought, oh, he was just using this as a way to become popular. He's just giving things away in order for people to like him more than they do us, right? So people are always comparing him to us. Now these enemies, people who were his neighbors and friends, thought of themselves as his enemies, and they started to compare themselves to Ofe. They started to think, why is he so great? How come he thinks he's so much better than who we are? Now, some time had passed. One of the neighbors was having a parent who was having a celebration for receiving a title in the land, right? And so this new title was going to bring about greatness for this family. And so they were having a huge celebration. They were inviting all the people of the town, all of the neighbors. They were inviting everyone to come to this celebration. Ofe and Kannakanna heard about this and they decided, you know what? Well, let's go enjoy the celebration. It sounds like a good idea. What they didn't know is that neighbors of Ofe were planning to do harm to Ofe. They actually wanted to take his life. And they started a plan that at this party, let's create a situation where we can get him away from the party and we'll take care of him then. So they made their plans. Now, Ofe and Kannakanna were Ifa devotees. And so before this journey to go and be a part of this celebration, they decided to go to an awo to have Ifa cast. And what was most interesting is that they arrived at the awo's home together. This wasn't a planned arrival. So they arrived at the home together. And they said, you know what? We're both going to have Ifa cast because we're going on this journey. Let's go into this divination together. Two friends divining together. So the awo cast Ifa. And the Odu that comes is the Odu of Ogbe Ofun. Ogbe on the right and Ofun on the left. The awo tells them that they're about to go on a long journey and their journey would have no issues. They would not have any problems traveling. The main problem was that where they were going, there were neighbors and people who they thought were friends were making terrible plans against Ofe, and they had intended to kill him during the festivities. The plan was to make the death of Ofe look like an accident. What was interesting is that the awo told him that he must go and participate in the event, right? He was assured that if he went, that he would have a friend that would come to his rescue during that time and everything would be okay. It would be challenging, but everything would be okay. The awo explained to him and said, here at this dafa, at this reading, we need to ensure that we know who that friend is. So Ofe says, okay, no problem. And so they start to ask Ifa, and went through the list. And what was interesting, they finally arrived at the name of Kannakanna, his friend was there at the divination with him. And Ifa agreed, yes, Kannakanna will be the one who would come to your rescue. They were advised to offer a bow, right? They were advised to offer a bow. And then after the bow was offered, it was important for them to propitiate each other's destiny. Both Ofe and Kannakanna complied with the required tasks from Ifa, and then they made their way to their home. So they gathered themselves, they got home to their respective homes, they gathered themselves and made their way to travel to the party. But they couldn't help to think in the back of their mind, why do people want to cause harm to Ofe? What is the issue? What did he do to any of these people? He couldn't help but think about it. All right. So he decides, they get their stuff together. They make their way to the party. As they arrive at the party, everything is going wonderfully and everybody's having a really, really good time. Some of the neighbors had called Ofe over and they said, "Oh, hey, thanks for coming. We appreciate you being here. Let's talk and catch up. We haven't talked in a while." Ofe says, "Okay, yeah, let's do that." And so they move to the side and they start talking. They started looking around. It's really, really loud here. Let's go outside of the festivities and talk where we can talk a little bit more and celebrate and have a good time catching up. Ofe says, "Yes, of course." Meanwhile, Kannakanna was watching everything that was happening. He's keeping an eye out on Ofe because he remembered the Ifa divination that said Ofe would need support. So they leave, they go outside the party, but they kind of went like outside the party, not just, hey, let me go down the block or around the corner where it's a little bit less noise. It got to a point where they pretty much couldn't even hear what was going on. They started talking to Ofe, and all of a sudden they realized, Ofe looked around and realized that, oh, these are my neighbors who are doing this to me, right? The one who was actually throwing the party was a part of it. A group of folks came out and they started to beat on Ofe. They started to hit him, beat him, knocked him to the ground. So many of them around him were causing harm to Ofe. He couldn't believe this was happening and he didn't know what to do. Kannakanna was in the background watching, but he saw there was too many people. He was outnumbered, so he didn't want to jump in yet. He was just trying to wait for the right moment. So after they beat Ofe mercilessly, they tied his hands, tied his feet. They started a fire around him. They said to themselves, "Ha, look at Ofe, the one who has so much gratitude, gives away everything and trying to boost himself up." So they leave and think that everything is done. Well, as I said, Kannakanna was there. He jumps in to the middle, unties Ofe, his hands and his feet, straps him onto his back, takes him, and they escape from the fire. Kannakanna takes Ofe to a very secret place, and for the next 17 days, he spends time taking care of him, trying to make sure that he was healing up okay. He was feeling right, giving him medicine, feeding him food. He was taking care of him for 17 days, did everything he could to make sure that Ofe didn't pass. All right. After the 17 days, on the 18th day, Ofe's feeling better. He's sitting up. He's moving home. He's moving around. He's like, okay, I think it's time that I return home. They were worried. They still had neighbors to worry about. The neighbors thought that Ofe had died in the fire. And what was interesting is that they were spreading news that, the great Ofe, he got so drunk and got so belligerent, he went off by himself. He drank himself to death and was playing with fire and he burned himself up in the fire. They were essentially making fun of Ofe and spreading the news. Many people in the town were extremely sad because, again, Ofe was very popular for his kindness and everything he did for the community. But those who were his enemies were celebrating. At last, Ofe is gone. Now we can, work to bring up ourselves to make ourselves more popular. So on this 18th day, Kannakanna and Ofe decided they were going to make their way back to their town. Now, here comes Eshu Odara. So remember, they offered Ebo early in the story. So Eshu comes, and he arrives with a set of drummers, chorus singers. Eshu Odara was the lead singer of this group. And Eshu tells Ofe and Kannakanna, he says, I see you're about to return home and you're planning to return home quietly. But we will not do that. You're going to return home, but we are going to accompany you the entire way, singing your praises, singing that you are the most generous and you are the most kind. We're going to sing and support you and tell your story through song so that people will hear about your enemies that were trying to destroy you. Ofe and Kannakanna were like, okay, Eshu, you say so. We'll follow your lead. And Eshu says, you know what, we're going to take care of everything. Because part of them was thinking, how we are going to even afford this. And Eshu says, no, this is a free of charge service. You have done wrong, and we are here to make sure that you are made whole. So they start to make their way home. As they're making their way home, they get to the outskirts of town, and Eshu starts wailing. The drummers are going, right? Everything is going. The choir is singing behind him. Eshu starts to sing right now, and I'm going to change this song because I'm going to sing it in English. I'm going to change this as if we're listening to the gospel revival version of it. But he'd say, I would have never believed. I would have never understood it. Kannakanna is the only true friend. How could one really know one's neighbors were the traitors? Kannakanna is the only true friend. So they were singing this, and Eshu is singing loudly. Everybody was coming. They were clapping their hands. They were listening. They were hearing. And as they got closer and the crowds got bigger, Eshu started to reveal the story. Eshu started to share that, hey, this is what happened to Ofe, the one who has done so much kindness for you, the one who has given everything he has to so many folks in this town. His own neighbors are trying to destroy him because of jealousy, because of envy, because they started to compare themselves to him, and they couldn't understand why he was so much greater than them. The people of the town heard this. The leaders of the town heard this. Those who were Ofe's and Kannakanna's enemies were rounded up. They were brought in and treated with the strictest form of the laws. And those who were not caught ran away and left the town for good. All right. So the story ends. And the verse ends like this. How is your home? My home is well. It is future consequences we know nothing about. This was Ifa's declarations to Kannakanna. The same was also declared to Ofe. When they were going on a long-distance journey, they were advised to offer a bow. They complied. I would have never believed it. I would have never understood it. Kannakanna is the only true friend of Ofe. How could one know that one's neighbors would become traitors? Ashe. So let's think about this story for a minute. I know this was a long one. Let's think about this story for a minute. We have the gentleman Ofe, who was living his life, following his destiny. It was the envy of his neighbors that caused them to do the unthinkable, caused them to commit crimes, caused them to commit harm against Ofe. Right? And thankfully, Ofe, as an Ifa devotee, had a fellow friend as a devotee who came to his support in the time that he needed it. Because he offered a bow, Eshu came to his support when he needed it. There's so much to think about and unpack within this story. Right? So much to think about. Are we the neighbor? Or are we Ofe? Who are we in this life? Are we comparing ourselves to others that are around us? Do we see that our neighbor has a new car and then I have to get a new car? My friend has a new phone. Man, I really need to upgrade my phone. My friend started dating someone. Oh man, I'm really single right now. I really want to date someone because my friend's dating. I want to go on double dates. We're going out to the restaurant. My friend he's got so much money. He's offering to buy drinks, and I never have enough money to help. And so I save up and I spend all what I have on that one outing for a month. See, these are all traps of envy. These are all traps that we cannot find ourselves focused on in this life. We have to escape that. Right? So the topic of guarding against envy. So you might say, well, Baba, how do I do that? How do I guard against envy? Good question. I have a couple of ways. One, we want to focus on practicing gratitude. On a daily basis, be thankful for everything that we have. Within my practice, within the temple practice, I encourage everyone to go through their morning prayers, because that right there alone is a centering process. That is a way of saying, talking about the things you want to accomplish, being thankful, showing gratitude, asking for things you want, right? That is a moment. Practice that gratitude within your life. Number 2, limit your comparison to others. Do not focus on what anybody else has. Focus on what you have and how you can improve on yourself, right? Avoid that scrolling through social media. Wow. Social media is an interesting place because, one, I love it because I love to catch up with my friends and family all over the world that I would have no way to catch up with. But at the same time, right, it's a place of comparison. Oh, my child got straight A's. Why is my child not getting straight A's? Why is he not reading already? Why is she not able to do this? No, we can't do that. Again, we're showing gratitude. We want to limit the comparison. The third thing I want us to think about is working on building our own self-confidence. For me, I think the process of being able to propitiate one's ori, the process of understanding what it is you need to accomplish for yourself, right? What is important to you? Is it the money? Is it the cars? Or is it your happiness? Right? These are things that we got to think about. When your friends and others are around you, celebrate their success. Be happy for the things that they accomplished in their life. Have hope that when it's your turn, right, that those same folks will come and celebrate with you. Because as we support each other, that's the only way we can lift each other up. Remember that. Focus on your personal growth. Focus on your personal growth. Think about being mindful, right? Be in the moment. When you are doing something, be in that moment. If these things are a challenge for you, seek support. Seek support from your community. Seek support from professionals. Right? Don't do this alone. Don't live a life of these challenges alone. Again, we're still talking about guarding against envy. Be happy with the things that you have. And be consistent with the things that you're trying to implement in your life. You see, these things are what we can do in order to guard against envy. These are things that we can set ourselves up in order to practice. Now, how do we get on that road of self-discovery, of following our destiny, of finding out our purpose? Well, guess what? I got some tips on that too. I have 8 things that I like for us to think about. I'm going to go ahead and list those things, and then we can, start to figure out how we can implement these things in our life. 1, self-reflection. 2, set goals for yourself that are small. Start small. And then realize if you accomplish a little goal each day, that in a year becomes a big accomplishment. 3, take action. I know so many of us who say, oh, I want to work towards my destiny. I want to do things better. I want to accomplish this. I want to accomplish that. But yet we don't take action when it is time to take action. Number 4, stay resilient. You're going to face challenges. You're going to face setbacks. Move through those and continue to fight forward. Again, just like guarding against envy, seek support. Don't do this alone. All right? If you have family that you can work along with, you're all working on your destinies. If you have friends that you can work along with, you're all working on your destiny. Seek support. Have a mentor, someone that you can talk to. Have a mentor that you can riff ideas off of. That's very, very important. Trust your intuition is another one. Adapt and evolve. When those challenges hit, adapt. Don't give up. Change where you need to change so that you can keep going forward. No path to victory is flat and straight. There are hills and there are deep, deep valleys. And last but not least, celebrate your progress. Celebrate your progress. I can't stress to you enough the importance of guarding yourself against envy and working towards fulfilling your destiny. I can't. I think the most important things, if I were to wrap everything up into a nice bow in the end, the most important things that we can focus on. I know I said a lot during this little bit of time, but the most important things I believe that we can focus on are: let the light of gratitude, self-awareness, and purpose guide you in life. Resist or guard against envy's temptations, and instead embrace your unique destiny. Because if we stay true to ourselves, we will illuminate the world with our own authenticity and purpose. I hope that makes sense. Aboru aboye aboshishe oboato. I'd like to thank you all for joining me for today's message. It is Father's Day, and so I want to wish all of the fathers a happy Father's Day. As one, we have those fathers who are raising their children. 2, those fathers who are raising children that are not theirs. 3, those fathers who are mentors, who are raising other men by being an example of a good man, right? That's important. We want to be an example for those who are around us. So happy Father's Day to you all out there. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for supporting Okanran Sunday Temple. I hope you have a wonderful and blessed week. Again, Aboru Aboye Aboshishe Oboato. Until next time.